There is a saying in Kalama: anything that tastes too sweet, ask first where the sweetness came from. But human beings do not like asking questions when their mouths are already full. Some said they stopped arguing with their spouses. And slowly, quietly, without announcement, Mama Sade became rich. Not loud rich, not noisy rich, but the kind of rich that does not explain itself. People used to say that Kalama was a city that could smell money. Before you saw it, before you heard it, you smelt it. Oil heating before dawn, dough frying too early in the morning, sweat drying on skin as people hurried to make a living before the day became cruel. In Kalama, success always announced itself quietly first. That was how people knew something was different about the woman with the donuts. No one remembered when Mama Sade arrived. There was no first day anyone could point to. One morning, she was simply there, standing near the bus stop, her wooden table balanced on uneven ground, her fire already burning. She did not shout. She did not advertise. She did not compete. She fried. By the third morning, a small line formed. By the seventh, people were waking before sunrise. By the end of the month, her name was spoken in houses that had never shared a meal, never shared a prayer. Mama Sade's donuts did not taste like any donut Kalama had known. They were soft, but not light, sweet, but not playful. When you bit into one, it felt as though something settled inside you, heavy and warm, like a hand resting on your chest. Some people said the donuts tasted like childhood. Others said they tasted like rest. One man said he ate one and slept for 12 straight hours without dreaming. People laughed at him, but they came back. They always came back. Mama Sade charged more than anyone else. Still, her tray emptied every morning. By midday, people lingered near her stall long after the last donut had gone, staring at the cooling oil as if something might rise again. She never explained herself. She smiled when people praised her and nodded when they begged her to teach them. Her smile was tired, stretched thin, as though it had been worn down by repetition. Soon, people began to notice the money. Mama Sade did not dress like a rich woman. She did not wear gold or change her voice. But every evening she counted thick bundles of cash with calm hands, folding them into nylon bags. Other sellers watched from across the road, counting their own thin notes, frowning. They noticed she never bought flour in bulk, never purchased yeast the way others did, never hired help. Rumors grew, quietly at first. Some said she had a secret supplier. Some said she prayed somewhere people could not see. Some said there was something wrong with her food and advised others to be careful. But hunger has never listened to warnings. Mama Sade's days were long. She stood over the fire until her back burned and her legs shook. Oil spat at her skin. Sweat soaked her clothes until they clung to her body. By evening, she moved like someone carrying invisible weight. Every night, she returned to her small apartment and locked the door. Inside, she moved slowly, deliberately. She removed her clothes and placed them into a wide basin. Then she poured water all over them. She did not rush. She scrubbed until her arms trembled, until her breathing grew heavy. until the water darkened with the day she had carried on her body. Then she left the clothes to soak and lay down to sleep, her bones aching, her mouth faintly tasting of oil and heat. In the morning, before the city fully woke, she rose. She lifted the clothes from the basin and wrung them out carefully. She poured the remaining water into another container and covered it. The water never touched the ground. Next door lived a woman named Aduni. Aduni noticed things. She noticed how Mama Sade never poured her washing water away. She noticed how carefully she covered it. One night, driven by something that she could not name, Adoni pressed her ear to the wall between their homes. She heard scrubbing, water sloshing, a low sound that might have been a sigh or a prayer or both. Adoni stepped back, unsettled, and said nothing. It was a boy named Kunle who broke the silence. Kunle had been watching Mama Sade for months. He had wanted her success. He wanted the secret that made people line up like beggars. When she refused to teach him, he followed her home. He hid and waited. What Kunle saw that night was not magic. It was worse. He saw the water. He saw the care. He saw the dough being kneaded the next morning, heavy and damp, the smell faint but unmistakable. Kunle ran into the street, screaming to anyone he could. Mama Sade uses her dirty sweat to make these doughnuts. I have seen this with my own eyes. People laughed until they remembered the taste, the comfort, the heaviness that sat in their stomachs after eating. The truth spread quickly. Disgust followed it. For days, no one came. Mama Sade stood alone by her stall, frying nothing. On the sixth day, someone returned, and then another, and then a small line. Because knowing something is wrong does not always stop people from wanting it. Business returned, slower but steady. Mama Sade grew thinner. Her sweat came faster now. Her body gave more than it could replace. One evening, she collapsed beside her stall. By morning, the stall stood empty. Then, just as people were beginning to convince themselves the story was over, Mama Sade came back. At dusk, she walked to the junction where her stall had been and sat on the bare wooden table. She looked smaller, like something had been taken from her and not returned. People gathered quickly, anger and curiosity pulling them closer. So it's true? Someone shouted. You fed us filth! Another woman screamed. Human dirt! The crowd pressed in, faces tight, noses wrinkled as if memory itself had a smell. Mama Sade lifted her head slowly. I know what you heard, she said, and I know why you came. She told them how she arrived in Kalama with nothing, how she sold ordinary doughnuts no one wanted, how hunger followed her home and slept beside her, how, one night, too tired to think, she used the soaking water for her clothes without planning to. The first day sold out, she said. The second day, I knew. Disgust rippled through the crowd. You're mad. You should be arrested. You made us eat you. A man gagged. A woman wiped her mouth furiously as though the taste had returned. I tried to stop, Mama Sade said, her voice trembling. The day I poured it away, you stopped coming. That was when the crowd erupted. So it's our fault? You poisoned us? You're blaming us? A stone flew and struck the table. Another followed. Someone spat at her feet. Mama Sade flinched, but stayed standing. I gave you what this city took from me, she said louder now. My sweat, my strength, my life. You're disgusting. Witch, get her away from here. Hands reached for her wrapper. Someone raised a fist. Then Mama Sade spoke again. I confess, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. Because you ate it, knowing it was wrong. The shouting faltered, then returned, louder, angrier. I sold you myself, she said, and you paid gladly. That was when fear entered the anger. Not fear of her, but fear of themselves. Mama Sade stepped down from the table and walked away. No one followed her. No one stopped her. The corner stayed empty after that. People say food in Kalama has never tasted the same since that day. Not because it is bad, but because remembering has a flavor. And some sweetness, once known, never truly leaves the mouth.